Welcome, everyone. I'm Mariquita Solis, the live stream host of all-creatures.org. All-creatures.org was founded in 1998 by Pastor Frank Hoffman and his first wife, Mary, and launched as the pioneer website in the United States for faith-based animal rights veganism. Today, led by our executive director, Tams Nicholson, we exist for all people seeking current animal rights vegan resources and offer decades of free animal rights and vegan content, including a huge repository of vegan sermons and Bible commentaries, animal rights strategies, free vegan authored books, recipes, upcoming events around the world, and the works of various vegan authors, poets, and artists. We also host current sites for almost 20 vegan and animal rights organizations, including Stop Crush, Unparalleled Suffering, and the Committee to Abolish Sports Hunting. We also maintain nearly 25 archival sites from animal rights vegan activism of past decades. The bottom line is that we work to unite compassionate and empathetic humans across the globe from the past and the present who honor the dignity of each and every creature so that all beings thrive on a flourishing planet Earth. So I'm very excited to welcome everyone today. Please let StreamYard know where you're joining from. And I want to introduce you to my good friend, Shelley Britenbucher of Shangri-La Farm Sanctuary. Her sanctuary began over 20 years ago when Shelley and her husband, Jeff, began rescuing senior dogs with disabilities from kill shelters. They have rescued seniors with cancer, blindness, deafness, and those who could not walk. These beautiful souls were on death row. Shelley and Jeff gave them the love that they needed until they crossed over Rainbow Bridge. Since then, many animals have come to call the sanctuary home. And we're going to hear about the rest of the animals and about this beautiful angel friend of mine, Shelley. So thank you so much for coming, Shelley. I'm so honored to have you here.
Oh, thank you. And thank you for inviting me. It's an honor to be on this platform, letting everybody know what we do and why we do it. So, and hi to everybody out there.
Well, I'd love to just ask you, find out how long you have been vegan, Shelley.
I have been vegan almost 8 years. I started being vegan in 2017. It was just like literally, I was a vegetarian before that for about 35 years. And all of a sudden, like maybe with how it does with many of us, the light bulb just went off in my head. And I'm like, what am I doing? And that is about the time we started the sanctuary. As Mariquita indicated, we did rescue and still do rescue senior dogs with disabilities. But at that time, I also wanted to start rescuing farm animals. So I just put two and two together at that point, and I'm like, oh my gosh. So I realized, being vegetarian is the first step, but I knew right then and there that I needed and wanted to become vegan. And it was not hard for me. And I'm not saying that, it's not hard for other people. I understand that it can be a challenge. I think maybe the one challenge, and I hear a lot of vegans say this, the one challenge was cheese. And, I had to find that right cheese consistency, the right vegan cheese to go in my chili or whatever. And that took a little doing, but it was well worth not eating dairy cheese to find that perfect vegan cheese. Um, so yeah, it'll be in January of 2025, it'll be 8 full years that I've been a vegan.
Wonderful. Well, yeah, I know what you mean by when you make the connection, and not everyone. I mean, we never know when someone's going to make that connection and how easy it will be for some. I mean, someone recently was telling us that, I mean, in the last stages of cancer, but still couldn't give up meat. So it's
Wow.
hard. Yeah, I mean, when there's that big I mean, a big need to do it, but you're still not able to do it, then that says a lot. So yeah, I'm really grateful for all who have been able to come to veganism and really want to support everyone on their path. So, and I know you have a very kind heart, and we've both gone through the years together, growing,
Yes,
becoming.
we have. And I'm very blessed to have met your acquaintance. I don't even remember how we met. I'm sure it was online. Uh, but if you remember, please refresh my memory. But I don't remember exactly how we met, but I am just so grateful that we did. And I have made friends with all the ladies out in Chicago way because of you, and grateful to you for that, that I was able to make those connections.
Yeah, so yes, I was leading some groups for vegans, and I think we might have met in the Vistopia Facebook group, but and
That could be, yes.
right, and so yeah, and we've had these, now we have lifelong friends, which is wonderful.
It really is. And like lifelong like-minded friends. And I so appreciate the fact that we can come to each other, with our little challenges that we face in our vegan lives every day. And as most recently, I had a vegan challenge in my own house, and I was just really grateful that I could turn to you guys and get support and get the support I needed.
Yeah, and that is so important, and that was one of the questions I was going to ask you about. Well, when you first became vegan, did you have supports within your family or friendships to help you, or did you feel isolated in the beginning?
I can't say that I felt isolated. My husband, Jeff, his two daughters at the time, they're adults. They were vegan, and one of the daughters still is vegan. And my husband, thank goodness, he's not vegan, he's more vegetarian. But here at home, he doesn't feel the need, nor does he eat non-vegan. So he eats vegan here at home. And I feel very blessed in that he's not a picky eater and he doesn't demand to have this, that, or the other thing. So that made it easy for me because he's so easygoing as far as what he eats. I'd say that, the challenge does come in when we have parties or holidays. And so because I do run a vegan, obviously a vegan sanctuary, I don't allow or want any animal products on the property. And that was a challenge, and it's not anymore. But yeah, yeah. And I think the biggest challenge when I first became vegan, and I think a lot of us face, is traveling. Just driving or even being in an airplane or whatever, and trying to get food besides a salad, right? I mean, we're not rabbits, although there's nothing wrong with rabbits, but we need sustainability. And even now in 2024, I find that there's more options now than there was, but there's still not a lot of options as far as our traveling, being vegan and traveling goes.
Right. Well, yes, and I find that also to be true. And I'm actually traveling next week, so I'm glad you reminded me to notify the airline, because who knows what if I don't notify what I'm going to get. But a lot of times it's better just for me to take a banana or my own fruit or something.
Right? Yeah. Yeah. From the airport. I know just recently we traveled in March from California back here. We flew into Cleveland, and it was a straight through flight. It was the red eye. And we did get dinner, and I made the request of vegan, and they did have like a vegan quinoa bowl, and somehow it got mixed up, and they served me a bowl, veggie bowl with chicken. And the steward said, "Well, you can just take the chicken off." And I'm like, seriously? I said, no, you can't just take the chicken off. So, yeah, I don't think they get it. I don't think mainstream gets it yet.
Right. Yeah. Yes. I feel you. That's for sure. Well, so now, so I love that you said that your husband Jeff did have family members that were vegan. So have you had other friends possibly that have turned vegan, or I mean, now you have more friends that are vegan.
Right. And I definitely have more people in my life that are vegan. And I so appreciate, um, there's a couple friends of ours, and I won't, they are not vegan and they have no intention right now of being vegan. But when I go to their house for dinner or for a meal or for a cookout or whatever, they are very conscientious and they are very kind to me. They will make sure that I have a good vegan side dish or a good vegan option there for me, which I'm very grateful for. And when people come here, in fact, in 2 weeks, we're having a couple over for dinner. They are not vegan, but they know that when they come, they eat vegan here. And the one Dan is just like, this is vegan food. I can't believe it. So as you've taught us, Marikita, I'm little by little, I'm serving, well, not, I'm serving vegan food here, and I serve vegan desserts, etc. when I go out. And people are like, this is so good. I can't believe that it's vegan. And I'm like, yeah, see, just about anything you can make with dairy and eggs, etc. I tell them that you can make vegan. 99.9% of the food can be veganized, and obviously healthier for you. And yes, I do have more vegan friends now. Where I live is farm country. And a lot of people, when we moved here 3 years ago, I would not move to a place where there were any animal agriculture around. Obviously, I couldn't do it. So it took us a few years, literally, of looking before we found this place to move the sanctuary to. And everybody around me are animal agriculture people, but not close to me. In other words, I don't have any animal agriculture in my neighborhood at all, which was a huge thing for me. I couldn't. But I found one other vegan girl on my village Facebook page, and she and I have become fast friends. So, because she's in the same boat, she lives out here in the village where I live, and she was grateful that we found each other.
Ah, I love that. That's wonderful. Well, how does the peace of not eating creatures manifest in your life today?
I have found that I look at others and people that still are involved either in animal agriculture or still eat meat, etc. And I say a quiet little prayer and a quiet little meditation to them, that they will somehow see the light and evolve. And I don't mean that in a mean way. I don't mean that, vegans or myself see myself way up here. But what I mean is that their hearts evolve and their spirits evolve to realize the cruelty and the harm that they are doing to these sentient beings is pointless. You don't need it. You don't need to harm them or eat them or whatever to survive. And one little caveat, if I can add, sometimes people are like, well, I'm a bodybuilder, I'm a weightlifter, or whatever. Well, and I only say this because I want people to know I do CrossFit and I do weightlifting a few times a week, and I haven't shrunk. I haven't wilted and died. I haven't crumbled up and died anywhere. So it can be done. It can be done. So I have found peace within myself, more peace within myself, um, and just looking at others and wishing the same for them.
That's beautiful. I love your little prayer and your acceptance, and sending love, and that's the way to do it because it's love changes everything. So
Exactly. 100%, for sure. I know, and I can remember I was raised Catholic. I'm not Christian Catholic anymore, but I can remember from a very, very early age thinking, how can we, I mean, it was just something in my mind and my heart, and I'm like, how can you harm these beings and still go to church and pray, or think you're doing the right thing? And I didn't become a vegetarian until I was in my 20s. And but even growing up during Lent on Fridays, we never had fish. I think the first time I ever tasted fish, I was 13. And my mom, we had a lot of what we would call now plant-based meals. Back then, it wasn't a thing. That wasn't a thing. But yeah. So, and then a little later on, I worked for a veterinarian, and that really did it. I was like, how how can you take care of these sentient beings? You have literally taken a Hippocratic oath to do no harm, and yet you go home at night and you eat meat. What is the difference? And I had a real hard time with that. Um, and I chose, not to be a vet tech anymore, primarily for that reason, because I and I don't blame them, because in my mind, when I look back on that, it wasn't their time. It wasn't, their time to evolve or whatever. But yeah,
yes, and that is very true. Everyone evolves at their own. They're on their own journey, so at their own speed. Um, and I love how grounded you are, just from knowing you in your spirituality with your Native American culture and honoring the land. That's so beautiful, and
thank you.
so
Thank
yeah,
you. Yeah.
you're
Um,
welcome.
even in this is hard as well, because in our Native American spirituality, we honor all living beings and we pray for them when we do our inipis or sweat lodges, or we do our sun dances. We pray for these spirits to come, for these animal spirits to come into our life and guide us, and and yet, and I've talked about this. I've talked about it when we do our sweat lodges, and I don't know how, again, how they can pray for all these spirit guides and the animals to come and be with them and help them and take care of them, and then turn around and not show any honor afterwards, and when you're sitting down at a meal. To me, to me, that's hypocritical. It's just hypocritical.
Yeah, it's very, very hard to wrap our heads around it. I know. I deal with the same thing. I mean, I think we all do, but yes, I mean, especially in the Native American culture, when we do our dances and things, I feel like, well, I just pray that they'll see the light, but I am a voice for them. So, and you are too. So thank, thank, yes. And everybody that's watching, please subscribe, y'all, and please put your questions and comments at the end for Shelley. We can check those out and let us know where you're joining from. And so I want to hear about Shangri-La Farm Sanctuary. Shelley, how did this come into being?
Well, I was in grade school, and there's a song by Led Zeppelin, and it has the words "My Shangri-La underneath the summer moon." Well,
Mm.
that was a little too long to put into a title for a farm sanctuary. So, and as I was growing up, I knew that I wanted a farm sanctuary. Didn't come to fruition. We started rescuing the dogs, and then we didn't become a 501c and actually start rescuing farm animals till 2017. And our first rescues were a horse, or excuse me, yes, a horse pair. They came from a slaughter truck, and it was Maisie and Tatonka. And we ended up, they were our first rescues at the sanctuary. And then after Maisie and Tatonka came Cisco, our donkey. And I don't know if any of y'all have ever heard of donkey, but boy, Cisco certainly, I have to tell people, that he's fine because he just lets loose and brays and brays and brays. So he was our second or third rescue. And that was at our old place where we lived. Once we moved to where we are now 3 years ago, we ended up really started rescuing a lot more lives. Um, so our next rescues were chickens. And we took some chickens that were not doing so well from our local feed store and wanted to make sure they were safe and give them a good home. So we rescued the chickens. There were 6 in all. They were just little ones. And then we rescued 2 Pekin ducks, and they were the typical Easter ducks where people, they think it's all cute and fuzzy, and let's just get little Easter ducks for the Easter basket. And then they grow up to be actual ducks, and they were dumped at a pond down in Columbus, Ohio. So I got a call to rescue the ducks, which we did. And then next came Bonnie and Clyde. And Bonnie and Clyde are our goats. Bonnie and Clyde came, a sheriff called us from about an hour away and asked if we would take them. Well, we said, sure, we would. The person that had them was not feeding them. They had no shelter, and they were living outside literally for 3 years. And our winters can get pretty harsh here. So the sheriff had bought them some dog igloos to live in, and he had warned the guy, and the guy just never did anything. And he said, you either sign the goats over to me or I'm going to fine you and take you to court. So, of course, the guy turned the goats over, which were Bonnie and Clyde. And my husband had to build I call it like their little mini pasture. He had to build their building for them to go into. And then we had to stake out a fenced in area for them. And as soon as we had all that done, we went and got them. And I have videos which I can post. We've had them about 2.5 years. I have never, when we went to get them, they saw the truck door was open, and we thought we were going to have to wrangle them, and pick them up and get them in the truck. Those poor babies ran right to the truck, jumped up into the truck, and they were like, get us out of here. And I was just like, oh my God. My heart was just, so they were like an hour away. So I had to ride in the back, not in the back of the cab, not in the bed. We were in the back of the cab of the truck. And we got him home. And Clyde would have none of it because he wasn't used to fences. They have a very big area, but he broke out numerous times, and we had to figure out a way to keep him in. So we had to reinforce the fencing. And then, so he's settled down, and they're very happy where they are. So after Bonnie and Clyde, my vegan friend from the village rescues turkeys every Thanksgiving. And she called me just about a year ago now and wanted to know if she went and bought a turkey from the turkey farm. I said, sure, but why don't you rescue 2? Because I wanted her to have a friend. So she rescued 2 huge turkeys, brought them here, and their names are Penelope and Matilda. And they're just adorable girls, really sweet ladies. And they are with the ducks. So the ducks and the turkeys live together. I did check with our avian vet because there is the bird flu, and blackhead disease. Chickens carry blackhead disease. They don't necessarily get sick with it, but they can give it to other birds. So my chickens cannot go with my turkeys and my ducks, but the ducks and the turkeys are safe together. So we have them. And then just recently, a week and a half ago, or 2 weeks ago, almost a week and a half. A week and a half ago, we got Belle. And Belle is just, she is gorgeous. She is excuse me, a Palomino halflinger. So if you're familiar with the Budweiser horses, she's a little smaller than them. She's actually called a draft pony, but she's a very, very big girl. And her human died. Her human died, I'm going to say about 8, 9 months ago now. And the sisters of Lori, the person that died, wanted a safe landing for Belle. So they came and saw our sanctuary and they thought it was a very good fit for her. So we brought her here, and she's 25 years old and just the gentlest giant. I mean, she is just the gentlest girl, and we absolutely love her along with all the other beings that we have. We were trying to get her used to our pony and donkey. Um, we put them together last Sunday. So no, it's been 2 weeks now. So we put them together last Sunday, and they did not do well. She wants to be a friend. My pony Tatonka is just like, no, I'm the ruler here. You're not going to take over. So we're going to try it again. We kind of keep them in separate pastures, but they have kind of a common fence line. So, and plus their stalls are all right next to each other. She's in the middle, Cisco and Tatonka are on either side of her. So they've been living side by side for about 2.5 weeks already. And she wants to be their friend. Tatonka is like, I don't think so. But eventually, they'll all get along. So, oh, and I forgot, we have our cats. A year and a half ago was around the end of April, beginning of May, and I was out in the barn cleaning, and we had a stray female hanging around. And I had every intention of getting her spayed. She's feral, and I couldn't trap her. And the next thing I know, I hear these kittens in the barn, and she must have just given birth because they were so tiny and their eyes weren't open. And I hurried up and grabbed them. And then I humanely trapped her, brought her and everybody in the house, put them all in a spare bedroom. So they were in a spare bedroom for 4 months. Um, couldn't get near them. I'd literally open the door to put food in there, and they would either come at me or they would literally climb the walls, and they were just super feral. But took care of them, and then we got them all neutered and spayed, including Mama. And when they were big enough, let them outside in the barn. And Mama didn't want to do anything to do with them, which they wanted still to be with her, but she did not want anything to do with them. So the babies, or they're a year and a half now, are still here. I can kind of get near them when I go to feed them, but they're very well taken care of. They have a heater, they have a fan. Jeff built them this nice big home that's got blankets and everything in it in the barn. So they're doing good. They're doing good now. So yeah, that's the rundown of what we all have. And my husband has literally done, except for the electric fencing, he has done all the pasture fencing, all the gates. He has built 4 buildings so far and he does it literally all by himself. So I have to give him props. This sanctuary was my idea, not his, but he is just amazing in everything he does and helps me with. So I'm very, very grateful to him.
Yeah, what a blessing Jeff is, a true vegan ally. And yes, that's amazing.
Yeah, he is, right. Yes, very much so. And I feel very blessed to have him, that like you say, a good vegan ally. Hasn't come over to the vegan side yet, but I still feel blessed that, he's not a carnivore either. So.
Right. No, I understand. I mean, I feel that way about my friends too. And I mean, I'm very thankful for them. They're not vegan, but I see where, like, I went out with one of my friends last night to have dinner, and he ate vegan, and I don't ask him to do that. He does it for me, you
For
know.
you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
really wonderful to have these people that are aware and considerate and respectful. And
I agree. I agree. Um, yeah. I think the hardest thing for me is when people, when I'm out, like I just went to lunch with some friends that I've been literally friends with since first grade, and we just reconnected. And one of them had some chicken on their meal, and they said, "Sorry, Shelley," and I said, "Don't apologize to me, apologize to the animal." And she didn't know what to say, and I didn't say it mean. I just said, "Don't apologize to me," I don't you don't need to apologize to me for that. But I appreciated the sentiment, but
no, yeah, you're right. That's funny. I just am going to be going out of town, like I said, and I've had a going to be visiting a couple friends, and both of them they both said to me yesterday, I don't know what to feed you, what food do I need to get for you? I said, well, it's funny. It's so. I mean, that vegan is so, something that's so mysterious to people. I
it,
said,
yeah.
fruits and vegetables.
It really is. And I find that some people, for real, don't even know what a vegan is. Like, I just recently I had to explain it to somebody. And I said, it is no animal products at all. And including, and for me, and I think most vegans, including honey. It's not something that we do. And it's something we choose to not partake in. So
Right. Yes, and I didn't know really about honey for a long time, but
I
until,
know.
our friend Anthony did that. Were you there for that? Anthony, actually, he's in Puerto Rico. He's with um,
Oh, yeah, I know who he is. Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
and what's that organization? What's their organization name?
I can't remember, but gosh, yeah, I haven't talked to him in a long time. That's right.
Right. He did a nice presentation on bees and honey, and it was amazing. So yes, now I understand more, and I was able to share that with one of my vegan friends who didn't know, and then that stopped her, So yeah, I
Right.
mean, spreading the news. I mean, spreading the word, and everything. So Casa Vegana is their organization.
Very good. Yes. Thank you.
Yeah,
Yes.
and yes, and he was saying how hard it is on a day-to-day basis in Puerto Rico. So
Oh, I
our hearts
bet.
for them. Those are
I
truly
bet.
beautiful people.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Um, there are, well, yeah, it's still very, like I said at the beginning, it's still very hard. When you're traveling, you have to keep your fingers crossed that you'll find something. Um,
Right. All right. Well, so tell us about your your mission and your vision, for Shangri-La Farm
yeah,
Stand.
my mission is for more people to not see, but my mission is for more humans to realize what harm is being done when either they consume an animal product or they wear an animal product. Little by little, I'm hoping to get the message across. That's my mission, to try and have people see that they don't need to do harm to others to survive. Um, and I try to do it on my pages, on my farm sanctuary pages. Just when I first started this journey, I was the person that was out there putting videos of the horrific things that go on dairy farms or on an animal agriculture farm. I was that person, and I realized I was losing people, right? Like you and I have talked about in our groups, I was losing people by doing that. Um, so now I put on happy, upbeat, and try to get them to see that the good side of things. So yeah, and going onwards in the future, I would just like to be able to rescue as many more sentient beings as possible. Um, I'm very careful what I do as far as there is another sanctuary, and I'm not here to put anybody down. I think people, when they start sanctuaries, get caught up in let's save them all, and they might not have the resources to do that. There is a sanctuary relatively close to me that does just that. They have less land than I do, and um, the animals are in a less than ideal situation. So while I want to rescue every sentient being that I can, I also want to give the residents here enough space and be able to take care of them all as they need to be taken care of. And that includes, years ago when I wanted to start this farm sanctuary, I just had these all roses and daisies, and everything is going to be great, and everything is great, but you also have to take the good with the challenges, and there are financial challenges and there are physical challenges, and by that I mean uh, I don't want to have so many residents here that I cannot keep up with them. I need to honor them and respect who they are and give them the proper care uh, that they deserve. So I think, when I think about that too, I realize I don't know if how much I've grown is the right term, but maybe it is. But somehow that doesn't seem right. When I was growing up, I would cry at the drop of a hat if I saw an injured animal, or, I thought something harm was being done. Even when I worked for the vet, there were some things I just could not watch. And as I've gotten older and as I've been on this journey of running the sanctuary, um, I don't want to say that I've hardened, but I think I've come to accept life on life's terms. That's what comes to mind. And, it's really hard. Just this past March, we had to have Maisie. She was one of our, along with Tatonka, our first rescue. And she was over 40, which is old for a horse. And she had gotten sick about a month beforehand. And we did everything we could. We were giving her IV fluids, we were giving her medication, we had multiple lab work drawn, we were doing everything possible for her. And she seemed to be okay. And then Saturday morning, it was March 1st or 2nd, we went in to her stall. She was not well at all. And I immediately called the vet, and he's like, well, we can do this, this, and this, I think, and I'm like, no, she's 40 some years old. And he agreed, to put her through anything else would have not been humane. And we walked her out to the pasture, and the boys, Cisco and Tatonka, came over and they said goodbye, and we said goodbye, and we did the right thing by her. So having to say goodbye is the hardest thing, but it's also a blessing that we get to do that for them, right? I mean, you know, you don't want them to suffer. So being able to be there for them in that moment is an awesome thing.
I think that's very true. And I want to remind everybody, if you have questions, please put them in the chat. No, I can really relate to what you're saying. In my life also, it, I had a very hard time letting go, but now it's more of an acceptance of life, and I feel very at peace now. And I feel more confident. I mean, I don't not confident, but I truly believe that and I want to use this word because Reverend Rich used it at Unity last week. That at the moment of ascension, right? That they are in the spirit world, right? And I thought that was a beautiful way to phrase it. Um,
Definitely, for sure. Well, the next day we had a friend come over and we buried her in one of the pastures. And we had a friend come over and dig her grave. And as we were standing there after we buried her, we were standing there talking, and we talked for maybe a half hour. All of a sudden, two eagles and three hawks were together. Now, they're all they shouldn't be flying together. And two eagles and three hawks, and they flew over us. And I'm like, well, if that's not a sign that she's okay, I don't know what would be. It was the day after we had said goodbye to her, and they were low. I mean, we could have almost reached up to touch them. They were just like, it was so beautiful. And yeah, that was our sign that she was okay. So she was happy.
I
Yeah.
love that, and I love that you were aware to look for the signs or keep your eye open for the signs. A lot of times there's signs and we don't see them.
Right. Right. Yes. You have to be aware and be ready to receive them.
Right. Yes. So, what has been your most meaningful accomplishment as you've been on in as you've been with Shangri-La Farm Sanctuary?
Oh, I think probably the most meaningful accomplishment is having Shangri-La, is having the farm sanctuary. I think that in and of itself um, is the most meaningful and the biggest accomplishment. Um, Also, being able to continue to run it. A lot of sanctuaries, unfortunately, and us included, you don't sometimes you just don't get the backing that you need as far as donations or people helping you out, and they go under. And I think my biggest accomplishment is getting the word out there to who we are, and watching my followers, how many followers we have, watching that grow. um, Seeing people that are not vegan believe in what we do and donate to our sanctuary. um, and also being able to help other sanctuaries when we can. I think that in itself is another accomplishment. But I think the main one, the biggest one, is having the sanctuary. All the years it took me to get where I was finally at in life to be able to have it.
Right. Yes. How amazing that is. And you recently went to North Carolina. Can you tell me about that?
We did. My husband and I wanted to help out over in Asheville, in the Asheville area, as you all are probably aware of the flooding, the horrific flooding that occurred there. Jeff and I were just sitting here going, we need to do something. We are close enough that we can make something happen. So this to me was, and I've never done anything like this before, and I was just floored by how many people came to help us help these people. So we got a box truck, and my husband and I have a pickup truck, and another couple drove the box truck down, and we drove my husband's pickup. But before that, we had put the word out. We were sitting here on a Saturday, and we're like, let's just make this happen. So I put it out on Facebook on my pages that, if people wanted to donate, we left that Thursday to go down to Asheville to help people. Well, I mean, I couldn't believe it. We got monetary donations. We filled the box truck with fencing, with livestock food, with human food, with water. I just loaded up, and our pickup truck was loaded up. And we drove down, and it's like an 8.5 hour drive. And when we got there and we got to the first sanctuary was Sweet Bear Refuge. And this first off, can I say that these people are absolutely astounding, amazing, and just have the fortitude of, I don't know, of a million people. um, the first sanctuary that we went to help out, Sweet Bear, her house, the night of the storm, it had been raining, the way I understand it, for 2 straight days. And then when the hurricane came in, it just brought torrential downpour, and the creeks and the rivers could not withstand it. So her house, two huge trees fell on her house while she was in the house that night, knocked out power, knocked out water. And the next day, she didn't know, what to do. Well, when we got down there a week and a half later, we helped rebuild her pig fencing. We brought her food and water. We brought her livestock food and water. And then the next place we went to was Animal Haven of Asheville, and she needed so much help. Um, we gave her fencing, and T-posts. We gave her livestock food and food and for herself and water. Then we went over to Oliver's Oasis, which is a pig rescue, and we loaded them up with water. They needed water and again, food and bedding. So we went down Friday, I believe, and we were there Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and came home Monday. And it was like we had known these people forever, and their fortitude and I mean, they had nothing. They had no food, they had no water, their roads were washed out, their power lines were laying on the roads. In fact, when we went back to, I think it was Animal Haven or Sweet Bear, one of the bridges that we were traveling across to get to the other sanctuaries collapsed. And we could only go over on the one way. And I'm like, that's it, we're not going back, because there was no way out. So we ended up staying there. And then while we were there, our hotel had a water curfew. So we only were allowed to have water 2 hours in the morning and 2 hours at night. And then you couldn't, Starbucks, Panera's, nowhere could you get coffee. I don't drink coffee anyway, but Jeff does. Couldn't get coffee, couldn't get anything made with water like oatmeal. There were porta potties set up all over in parking lots because people had no toilets. They couldn't use toilets in their home. So we had to use toilets in the parking lots. And yeah, and like we went to this one Starbucks that actually was open. It was a little further out. And this lady came up to us and she said, "Where are you all from?" Because she heard we did not have an accent. So she heard that we were not from there. And we told her, and she said, "Well, bless you." And everybody, I mean, it was like wherever we went, in stores, we just got hugs from everybody. And we did get down to the Art District in Asheville, which is where the devastation was. And neither Jeff nor I had ever seen anything like that in person. And I have no words. I mean, it was just made it so real. That was the last day we were there. And it just made it so real to see that. There was nothing left, nothing. The buildings were gone. And I can't even imagine the force of that water that did that. And I know when Jeff and I were coming home, it was just like we felt guilty for leaving there because we were leaving these people behind. And we both felt like we should have stayed there, but we couldn't. We had to come home to our animals as well. But yeah, so that was our trip to North Carolina. And I just feel so blessed to have made the acquaintance of all those people down there. And if you're listening, anybody from Oliver's or Sweet Bear or Animal Haven, hi.
Well, thank you so much for doing that. And so I'm the leader of the animal ministry here in Unity North Atlanta, and we have a Facebook page, Praying Paws. So Shelley posts her animals there. So if you have photos from Asheville, please post there. We'd love to
Okay.
invite y'all to join that. And also make sure that you see, I want you to see the Venmo where we can get donations in on the bottom. And the other banner was the PayPal, um, PayPal right here. So, and where can people find out about you, Shelley?
On Facebook, we're at Shangri-La Farm Sanctuary on Facebook. And I do have a website, the same, Shangri-La Farm Sanctuary. So those are and oh, I'm sorry, we are also on Instagram. Uh, Same thing, Shangri-La Farm Sanctuary. Hi,
Great.
Tanya. Aw, hi.
That's wonderful that Tanya got to go. I'm jealous, but I'm going to get up there. I mean, I'm sure it was wonderful. Yeah, thanks for your comment, Tanya. And thanks for your work with Anonymous for the Voiceless.
Oh, for
Um,
sure.
that is
Definitely.
right. That is powerful work. That's for sure. And talk about being accepting there to do that work, right? We were using that word earlier, accepting of people to be. You have to be if you're doing the Anonymous for the Voiceless. So yeah, we're all doing our part. Um, but well, what who which animals would you say are the maybe the most high maintenance?
Oh, um, I probably I think it's even. I think it's even across the board because they all get the same attention, but I think probably the horses and the goats um, are the ones that require more attention. Um, they get their farrier visits, which a farrier is somebody that comes and does the hooves. So they get a farrier visit like every 6 to 8 weeks. So I'd have to say them. But other than that, I think everybody's else is pretty much equal as far as keeping up with their cleaning and bedding and water and food and that. Yeah, I'd say the horses. They keeping up with them.
And do the all of them? So I know that we had the introduction of now I can't remember her name. Um, the horse, the pony horse. Maybe that's
Oh,
the
Maisie.
no
Oh,
the
Belle.
Bell.
New one,
Yes,
Belle.
Bell.
Yeah, Belle.
So has Bell met other residents, and do the other residents mingle? Everyone mingle together, or how does that work?
Not yet. We are going to try once Belle settles in. We are going to try putting the goats with once the horses all are okay with each other. Maybe seeing if the goats want to go in and do some grazing time with them and see if they should be fine together. Belle did have a goat where she came from. He wasn't. I don't know what happened to him because he wasn't one of the animals that needed rescuing. So maybe he had passed on by the time we got Belle. But yeah, I the ducks and the turkeys are together. The chickens are separate, but the cats pretty much go wherever they want. So they mingle with, they like to go into the goat pen and be with the goats. But I am hoping that we can maybe put the goats and the horses together at some point and have them all be together. I think it'd be fun. I think, that it'd be fun to have them all. I know, I mean, a lot of sanctuaries do that, have different species together. So,
Mm.
yeah, yeah, I think it would be good. My next, the next sentient beings that I would like to rescue are some lambs. So I'm just waiting to see if, any come up on any of the pages that need rescuing from a situation. Um, so yeah, that'd be my next rescue.
Wonderful. Well, we're getting a report on Clyde here. We already didn't you say that he was jumping the fence? Is he the one? Clyde wants all the
Well, Clyde
attention.
wants all the attention. He does. He does. How do I answer that? I don't know how to answer.
Oh, well, I mean, you can answer right now verbally.
Oh, okay. Well, yes. Yes, Clyde, no, he doesn't jump the fence, but Clyde does love attention, and he's the donkey, and he
Oh, the dog.
loves to have, yes, he loves to have people pet him and give him treats. That, oh gosh, that's the other thing. They all love treats. Um, so, whenever the goats, the horses, the donkey, and even the chickens, the chickens, turkeys, and ducks love treats as well. But whenever we have visitors come, they all get quite the plethora of treats to munch on. So yes, Clyde is the attention seeker for sure.
Gosh, that's so nice. I went to, well, it's coming up in a few weeks over here in the Atlanta area, in the rural area over here, and it's Thanksgiving, and I can't remember at is it Full Circle or one of the sanctuaries here, and that was great to go be able to go and see the donkeys. They were so sweet, and then we would throw the pumpkins to the pigs, and the pigs went crazy.
Oh
That
yeah.
was just like fun. I know, and so I'm going to miss it this year, but I'll go next year. I'm going to be going to, that's the trip I was talking about, going to Climate Healers
Oh,
Convergence,
nice.
which is
Nice.
nice. So, I mean, it's all good, but
No,
I want to get.
that's wonderful that you can do that for sure.
Yeah, I'm
Yes.
excited. So,
Um,
yeah, I mean, go
yeah.
ahead.
Yeah. No, I was just going to say, we have a little kind of a little mini Thanksgiving here, especially with the turkeys. I'll put some stuff out and I'll post it when I do it and take a little video and instead of, you know, from where they came from, what they were supposed to be, to living their best life here at the sanctuary.
Right. And that's what I see your posts, and that's really what I'm trying to do too, like you, posting about trying to get the connection. These are sentient beings who love to play and love to feel the sun and love to be alive.
Oh, I
So that's
know.
what,
I know.
yeah,
Um,
helpful.
uh, when so at the very beginning, you had said that we rescue dogs, and one of the dogs that we rescued back in 2011 came from a hoarding situation, and the lady lived in I think it was 800 or 900 square foot cottage, and she had over 100, well, she had 120 dogs in the house, and it was horrible. And at the time, I was volunteering with the Medina SPCA, and the SPCA, I think the lady might have called herself, but somebody called. They went in, and first of all, the garbage in the house was piled literally like this high. So when you walked in, your head hit the ceiling because you were walking on garbage. And they rescued all the dogs, and I have one of them. Her name is Avalon, and she somehow, when they went in to get these dogs, a lot of them were in cages. They had to use wire cutters to get. They couldn't even open the cages, they were so rusted shut. And I got Avalon from that situation. She was pregnant at the time with three puppies, and she gave birth at the SPCA. And then once she went through, I got her like about a month and a half, 2 months later, I was allowed to adopt her from there. And yeah, um, it's sad that people think they can treat animals like that, and you know and get away with it or not care.
Well, how did she adapt?
I know why I started to say that story, because you were talking about getting the sunshine on your face. she adapted just fine. I mean, I brought her home and she was out in the yard for the first time because when she was at the SPCA, she had had puppies and so she never got outside. Um, but when I brought her home, I put her in the backyard and she was just like the amazement on her face was just like looking around and just, she was like a butterfly. She was just jumping and hopping and just like, oh my gosh, she was just amazed at the great outdoors. So it did my heart good. It did my heart good. We have another one too, Ollie. He was rescued from an Amish breeding situation. He had never been outside in 5 years. He had lived in a cage. And when we brought him home too, it was just like, he was like, wow, you know? Yeah.
Gosh, I love that. That is so beautiful.
They're
And
just, yeah.
oh,
And they still love people, you know? I talk about the ultimate forgiveness, lesson in forgiveness.
yes, amen to that, right? I love it. All right. Well, we're coming to the end of our time. Is there anything else you wanted to that we want to make sure to say? And the Venmo and these have been
Yeah, thank you. If you donate through PayPal, just go to PayPal and then our on PayPal, we're under Shangri-La Farm Sanctuary 7 at gmail.com, I think is, well, that's how you get into PayPal to donate to us. Venmo is just simple. It's at Shangri-La Farm Sanctuary. So we rely on donations to keep us afloat and, to keep us going. So if you want to spread the word on who we are, the more followers we get, the more people we have to help support us. So thank you all for listening. And thank you, Marakita, for having me.
wonderful. And I want to remind everybody to not forget to go to www.all-creatures.org to check out the hundreds of thousands of pages of free resources updated daily, 7 days a week without break. Sign up for our weekly newsletter and be sure to search vegan churches on our site to find vegan faith-based resources near you. And if you know of a resource not on our list, please reach out to our executive director, Tams, at all-creatures.org. So I'd love to just end with a little prayer for everybody, if that's okay.
Sure.
All right, if everyone watching, if you feel like closing your eyes, and let's just breathe in this beautiful light from the animals that we've been talking about, sending them love and acknowledging their beauty on this earth, acknowledging their wisdom, their joy, and the gifts they bring to all of us here. Just feeling our hearts join together in this moment and letting that energy rise up, up high, ascending to the heavens. Amen.
Thank you. Very beautiful, Marakita. Thank you.
Thank you, Shelley, and thank everybody that's watching on the replay and live, Tanya, and everyone. Please subscribe here and make sure you go to Shangri-La Farm Sanctuary. All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you, Shelley. Bye bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.